Good afternoon. It's quite interesting that I'm starting the section on mathematical education with the talk which is not about education in mathematics. So it is about some aspect of education, and well, I'm a mathematician, so I think it counts. So I will speak about, I'd like to discuss the involvement, participation of students in evaluating our courses. And the talk will be mainly in two parts. So in the first part, it will be rather discussional part, so I will be very happy if you will participate in that discussions. And then in the second part of the talk, I will describe what we've done and what we had at UNSW and what we have now. So we will start with a question. So we all teach our courses, and we're doing more or less good or rather excellent, but do we need to evaluate our courses? Or rather, do we need to ask students for their opinion? So do we want to know what students think about our courses? So this is the question about it. So what do you think? So is it important? Yeah. So someone thinks the opposite? Okay, so I agree with you, first of all. Yeah, I think that the student evaluation, students' opinion about our courses is important. And it's important to follow it and to improve our teaching according to what students think, what students like, and most important, change the courses according to what students dislike. So that was the rather good part. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that was rather good part about this students' evaluation. What about the oh, is it? Okay, yeah, so very good start. So the first two slides should go in the different order. Okay, so sorry about that. So the students' evaluation are important, but is there any problems with that? Do you think that the way how students give their opinion about our courses, the way how they evaluate our teaching is the perfect way? So what do you think? What do you think is the main problems or any problems about that? Yes.
Because the university uses them to judge us about how good we are at teaching.
Yes.
And associated with that is getting enough students to give an opinion.
Yes. They are not experts. They are not experts. Yes. So, in fact, out of these three drawbacks of student evaluation, I will address only one. So I will address the situation when there are not enough students evaluating our courses. So, for instance, we have 400 students enrolled in a particular course, and when they evaluate our course, it turned out that there are only 30 or 40 of them responded. So it's not representative. It's not representative. And we hardly understand what part of the group we asked the whole group, from what part of the group we received the feedback. Yes, so in most situations, it will be the part of students, the part of students which are extremely unhappy for some reason with our courses. It might be some part of students who are extremely happy with that and wanted to write a feedback, but we're missing the whole middle part of the students who are, say, rather satisfied with the course. They have some they notice some positive things, they notice, for instance, some negative things, but they are okay with the course and they don't want to provide a feedback. So let's go closer to the, it's the other way around. Let's go to the technical part of the problem. So at UNSW, at the Faculty of Science here in UNSW, there are in fact two ways of doing, they were in fact two ways of doing the teaching evaluation and course evaluations. So it was either done in class and on papers, so we distributed the papers to students with questions and then collected the papers. So the second way was we were sending the email to students with a link, so go there and please evaluate our courses. So both of these methods has their positive and negative side. So speaking of the out-of-class surveys, so it does not require much resources to manage that and to conduct that. Yeah, it's not expensive. But on the other hand, when we ask students for feedback, it's typically by the end of the semester. So they are busy, they are rather overloaded by the end of the semester with the assessments and preparation for the exams, and then we send them dozens of links with evaluators, and they should spend their own time on that. So in most situations, their action on that email is delete, delete, delete. Well, so on this regard, the out-of-class surveys are worse than paper one, because when they do it on the paper-based method, they are in class and they hardly can escape this. But on the other hand, when it's done by paper, so it requires some time to proceed their feedbacks to put them in a digital form or something like this. And also with their handwriting, so when we get the scans of their responses, so it's not completely anonymous. So you can possibly, with the anonymous survey, you can possibly identify a person by their handwriting. So what was suggested is to blend these two approaches, to combine these two approaches and make the evaluations in class and keep them digital. So the students completed the surveys on their electronic devices, on their laptops, tablets, mobile phones. So by now, about 99%, if not more, of students have some electronic devices with them, so it's not a problem. And it was done during the lecture, or during the lab class, or during discussion classes, depending on the specific of the subject, because it was done all over the Faculty of Science, so different topics, different subjects, different, so it was area specific, discipline specific. So what was done? So this is how we did that. What was in fact done? So across the UNSW Science, we evaluated 68 courses. So combining teaching evaluation and course evaluation, it was more than 150 surveys. And speaking of the course evaluation specifically, about a third of online surveys was conducted using the new blended approach to this. So students did that in class using their electronic devices. So what we found out of this? So by doing this, so it's not a rocket science. But before that, with the online evaluations, the participation rates were hardly above 30%. So less than a third of students provided their feedbacks. So I think we go into the graph. Oh, not yet, not yet. So how many students participated in that? So we increased the number of students participating by pretty much 50%. Speaking of the all students' evaluations. So we count here the paper-based, the blended approach, and simple online. So the number of students participated increased by 50%, although we only manage the 30% of courses out of the all courses. So again, yeah, less than 30% of surveys were involved in the project, although the participation rates increased by 40%. And it's interesting that the proportion of international students increased by 6%. So let's have a look at the graph. So in green, we have the participation rates for the previous time this course was taught. So all over the 10 schools, and the last two bars are the average values. So we managed to double the involvement of students in evaluating of our courses. So it varies from school to school. So for some schools it's almost 4 times higher than it was previously. For some schools it's just slightly higher. But overall, twice more students provided their feedbacks if we force them to do this in class, explaining them that it is important for us and we want to do it in class. So we want to stop the lecture. We want to stop explaining important things. And we want you to grab your electronic devices and give us your feedback. So what's next? So already we increased the number of students participating. We doubled it. We pretty much doubled the number of students participating. But by the end of the semester, and most of these surveys were conducted by the end of the semester. By the end of the semester, in some courses, specifically in large courses, hardly 50% of students attending lectures. So although we managed to reach pretty much 99%, pretty much all students which are present in theater, we're still missing the half. We're still missing the half. So what are those students? So what are their opinions? So are they happy with the course? Why did they stop attending? And so on. So we still want their opinion on our courses. So how can it be managed? How it can be done? So one of the way, so fairly obvious way, so if we, instead of surveying students during the lecture, we can try to survey them during tutorials or lab classes or any classes which are compulsory to attend. So there we can expect that we can reach and we can get the feedback from pretty much every student. So that would be a possible next step to receiving feedback from almost every student we teach. And I think, thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions for Alex? Okay, I might. Okay. Sure.
So can I just check, so the students that were doing it in the class, they had no other opportunity to do it?
Well, they did. So it was in fact exactly the same. It was in fact exactly the same online survey, but they took that survey in class. So out of class, if for some reason they didn't attend, we still send them a message that if you didn't attend, you can complete it at home, or something wrong was with their electronic device. So there were not many students who completed this survey after the class, so most of them did it in class, but we had about 2-3% of students who completed after the class, so at their own time.
Did they all have their own electronic devices? Did they have them in class with them?
So Again, depending on disciplines. So in some courses in biology, I think, they conducted this survey when students were working on desktops, so they had it. But during the usual lecture, they used their own electronic devices, and most of them had them.
So one advantage of this seems to be that you could actually get more rapid feedback during the course,
Yes.
for instance. So rather than just being that final evaluation.
Yes.
How long does it take to actually run the evaluation in the class? Could this be something you could get earlier in the course and get some immediate?
So it takes, we planned for about 5 minutes per survey. If, for instance, there is a course evaluation and the evaluation of 2 lecturers, then we planned it for 15 minutes. Typically, it took less. Yeah, so it's about 5 minutes per survey, and some schools did that twice in a semester. So because their course is organized like the first part of the semester is taught by one lecturer, and students evaluated that lecturer, and then for the second part there is another lecturer, so they could do it twice in a semester. And typically we get the results very quickly. So as soon as the survey is closed, say 2 days after the actual in-class evaluation, we already get the results in fully digital form.
Just comment too that not all of our first year maths courses did this, but most of them did. And the result of this was that we had the best ever positive response rate, so, which was 94% students satisfied. So that was, it had quite a positive spin-off in terms of keeping the dean happy and etc.
Yes. And so reaching to that wider audience of students, most of that audience who don't complete this survey, they are happy with scores, quite happy, at least moderately happy or something like this. So enlarging the number of students, so getting more students participated, we get higher satisfaction rates, which is always good.
Any more questions for Alex?